televidente, danke pa kita conosco. Essa kita nos programa especial para lo que te trata eleição 2020 St.Maarten Election 2020. Então nós contento com a queda de sintonia, passou tá super interessante lo que nos está trazendo pabo que tá sigue a eleição que tá den porta já webs dia 9 de januário aí na nossa irmã isla Sint.Maarten. Então maneira nos indicar e fecha para lo que te trata a eleição aqui não estava um caminho fácil na push para fecha dia 25 de novembro de 2019 e sei aguardo cancelar mirando que segundo a ordenança eleitoral com lei não e procedura não que o Conselho Supremo Eleitoral não tem que seguir e fecha de 25 de novembro não cai dentro de fecha legal segundo a ordenança aqui. Pero nós temos, para lo que te trata, informação aqui, nós temos um timeline pabo, com o sucesso aqui, o governo anunciava via de dois besluit que dissolver o parlamento e que estava dia 12 de outubro de 2019. Se você não recorda, nós trazemos aqui pabo dentro do Brand New Day Show. Candidato não por postular na mês para a eleição, riba e fecha e. Pero, o presidente do Conselho Supremo Eleitoral, será assim, essa aqui, e também só que o governo aqui 3 semanas antes. Cidadano não tem tempo para não registrar para votar 30 dias para a nominação de candidato. Color não me guardo de issue just 4 dias para a nominação de candidato. Partido não novo, a partido não que re-registrar para a eleição, mas depois essa aqui também 6 semanas para ng nomina na mês. Mirando essa aqui Conselho Supremo Eleitoral ng entrega ng carta ng retiro, sim? E para Conselho apunta membro na novo, essa aqui mês tem prazo de 30 dias para mim que é dia de nominação ng partido na entrega ng lista ng oficial. Tava impossível que o Conselho para cumprir com lei. De facto, não lo atrapa direito fundamental e democrático internacional se não lo hace essa aqui. Agora, a Constituição avisa que 3 anos depois que dissolver o parlamento, mas se tem a primeira reunião com o parlamento novo. A Constituição pisa mais que a lei eleitoral, pero fair chance para postular o mês como candidato riba a lista de boa escolha também tem direito constitucional. E a lei eleitoral pisa mais que a ordenança nacional. Então, obviamente, essa aqui aguardo regla passou já dia 9 já webs até a eleição aí na Sint.Maarten. Pero para nós por aí tiki mais informação para o acta com está vendo com a preparação. Nós temos na linha a diretor for de Sint.Maarten. Nós temos o presidente do Conselho Supremo Eleitoral, Sr. Jason Rogers. Mr. Rogers, good morning.
Good morning, Merietza. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. I know tough days are ahead, tough days are behind, but even tougher days are ahead. Give us a little bit about, I know you were listening a little bit, following the Papiamento. I was giving our viewers just a little timeline of the change of the date, etc., etc. But obviously now everything is set. Everything is set, everything is ready. How did it go with the part where the candidates were, you guys did something different this time when the candidates, they came to you guys of the Electoral Council and gave in their list, their party list, and they chose their colors. Give us a little bit on how that went.
So indeed, as you mentioned, that in the beginning there were longs besluiten in terms of having election, which was initially slated for November 25th, and with that in mind, the longs besluit would have been dated September 23rd, and they would have already had postulation day, which is a dag van de kandidaatstelling, on October 2nd. Now, that was too short of a period in order for political parties to get themselves organized, but also for new political parties that would want to contest the elections on November 25th in order for them to get ready. But also, it also stated, as you also mentioned, that the voters registry would have had to been closed 30 days prior to postulation day, and also that 14 days prior to postulation day, that the colors, there needs to be a ministerial decree with the colors of the political parties. Now, those would have been dates that would have been in the past. What do I mean by in the past? Those were dates that would have been prior to September 23rd when the initial launch besluit came. But in addition to the legal matters that we had, objections that we had, there were also practical matters. So we've had discussions back and forth in terms of how can we resolve this in the in a legal manner, but also in a practical manner, which was done ultimately. And now we have indicated, well, now that everything is in line with the legislation, we can now carry out our tasks and responsibilities. We are seen not only as supervisors of the election, but also that we have to be able to safeguard our constitution and our laws. We are basically the watchers of our democracy. In terms of election are slated for Thursday, January 9th, as you have indicated. We have done the various public sessions that we've had that needed to do based on the Kies Verordening, the election ordinance. We're in close contact with all stakeholders, not only the party representatives, but also the police force, with the civil registry, with all stakeholders that we need on board in order to ensure safe, fair, open, and transparent elections on January 9th.
Now, speaking of watchdogs, you guys are the watchdogs of elections. I know there was a little bit of a little bitter taste with regards to members of parliament and government stating that they did not want any international observers on the island to observe the elections. Can you give us an update about that? Because it sort of sends maybe an incorrect message to the world. Maybe, in St.Maarten they have something to hide.
Now, it's a good thing, Merietza, that you actually brought up that question. It should be noted that as far as the international observers are concerned, that is an invitation that is extended by the government of St.Maarten. Now, the Central Voting Bureau here in St.Maarten, we have always taken the position that we are not going to get involved in any kind of political discussions to ensure and to safeguard not only our credibility, but also our impartiality. Now, what we have done, it should be noted that back in 2018, when we had elections 2 years ago, that we had international observers, and they were welcomed with open hand. And the elections, they have made their reports, and they have indicated that everything was done in a transparent, smooth, and very organized manner. As a part of the Voting Bureau is concerned, or the Central Voting Bureau, it does not matter whether we have international observers or not. If they would want to come, we will welcome them with open hands, because as far as we're concerned, there's nothing to hide. And we also actually believe in transparency. So if anyone wants to come, we will welcome them with open hands. Obviously, that will have to be an invitation from the government of St.Maarten. What I can tell you is that from my perspective, from my end, we are in very close contact with our counterparts within the kingdom, as well as our counterparts outside of the kingdom, the Central Voting Bureau of St.Maarten. To that effect, it should be noted that back in November of 2017, there was a conference held, a work conference held with all the electoral organizations within the kingdom on Curacao, and we have signed an agreement, a slotsverklaring, in November of 2017, whereby we indicated that we will assist each other where necessary, not only in terms of advice, but also in terms of exchange of ideas, but also what we will be able to witness each other's election, so that we will be able to look in each other's kitchen, as so to speak, as how things are going. Now, we have done that in terms of we were invited to Curacao election before, also the one in the Netherlands, and vice versa. Now, what I have done is I've also, from the Central Voting Bureau's perspective, I have extended an invitation to my counterparts within the kingdom, so to Curacao, to the Netherlands, also to Aruba, and I've also extended an invitation to our neighboring island, Anguilla, with whom we're in close contact with, and also the other islands. So in the meantime, unfortunately, the Netherlands would not be able to attend. Curacao has also indicated that they will not be able to attend due to certain reasons. Aruba, we're still pending on their answer, but in terms of transparency, we are open, and we welcome anybody that would want to witness our election. From our counterpart side, we are in close contact with them, and they're more than welcome.
Okay. Now, with regards to elections, you mentioned a couple of dates, and like this is the third, let's call it snap election. What does this mean? So like three elections in the space of like 4 years, and you've been with the Central Voting Bureau for since like 2013, 2014. How much pressure does this put on the organization? Never mind the country, but on the organization, the Central Voting Bureau.
Well, it puts, of course, if you're not intended to have election, well, let me put it like this: election should be held once in every 4 years. So if there's a snap election, as we call it here in St.Maarten, an unintended election from before those 4-year period, then of course it would put a sort of pressure on us in terms of timeline frame, and because everything now you have to organize in a shorter period of time, in sense that you had not anticipated it before that 4-year term. So you have to ensure that all organizational work are done. You have to ensure that all the polling stations, that they are still intact. You have to organize all persons that are going to be working at the polling stations. We have 20 different polling stations throughout the country.
Are they okay?
So
because after Irma and Maria, after the hurricanes, are they okay?
Yes,
Are they ready to go?
They are all intact. We also have them all manned, so the persons they're there in order to work and serve at those polling stations, for which we're very grateful, by the way. We also have to organize in such a short period of time not only the logistical part of it, but also look at it, the practical part, the ballots. The ballots need to be printed. You also have to ensure that things that you don't have in stock, you need to be ordered. So all those different things that you would definitely, it takes it's a task on you, so to speak, to have that done in a very short time. However, what is important, Merietza, in whatever short time it is, it has to be in the timeline that has been allotted by the law. And once that is done, we're okay with that, and we'll ensure that that is also that it's possible to do so. So as much as it's a task on us, we are able to do it within that legally allotted time.
Now, I know that we spoke about the international observers, but the party members and the party leaders, they also really put you guys under the loop. What was the feedback with regards to how postulation day went, the choosing of the colors? Were there anyone that contested? Everybody was okay? Nobody had to take you all to court or throw up dust with regards to the way how this process has been going?
So, indeed, we had various public sessions that are actually prescribed by law. We had a postulation day that went pretty smoothly, and there were no incidents or any surprises whatsoever for postulation day. After that, we had to we had to examine the list, and also if there were any defaults that needed to be remedied, we have given them the opportunity to do so within a period of 3 days as prescribed by the law. And after that, we had a public session whereby we ruled on the validity of the list, the maintenance of the candidates on the list, and also the maintenance of the designation on the list. That we took a decision on that, and then we had another public meeting in terms of the color and also the numbering of the list. So after that, then we actually sent on the information to once we have taken a decree, a besluit on that we send on that information to the printer in order for the ballots to be printed. We did have one little issue whereby we had to go to court just a couple of days before the Christmas season, whereby we had to remove one person from the list of one of the political parties because of circumstances that arise after that was not made known to us during the prior to the examination of the list. And we received a decision from the court whereby the court did give us the authorization to do so.
Now, my last question for you, Mr. Rogers, looking into your crystal ball and based on your experience over the last 3 snap elections, let's say, what time would you say, more or less, the first results, based on your experience, the first results will be in? Because I know usually the polling station at St.Maarten's home, they're smaller, and the prison, they're usually the first ones in. But more or less, based on your experience, around what time on Thursday, late Friday morning, can we expect to have the first preliminary results for a 2020 St.Maarten election?
Now, Merietza, that you indicated correctly that I do not have a crystal ball, but what I can indicate is that it is our target, our goal to have the results in as soon as possible in order to present the preliminary results to the public of St.Maarten, to let them know how St.Maarten has spoken. Now it is important to get them in a timely manner, but more important it is to have the accurate information in as well. Now, the first polling station, it has been so every election, the results from the first polling station is always the results from the prison. And because not only of the little population, voting population in the prison, but also the fact that they closed down earlier because of their house rules that they have there too. But everybody is able to vote at the prison that are eligible voters. They are able to vote on time. So their results usually come in around, we usually get that in very late afternoon, early evening, we would get that. And followed by the senior citizens home. Those results come in very early as well. And then from then on, you see the other results from the other polling stations. They keep coming in. They call them into our headquarters because at each polling station you have, the call-in possibility whereby they call into the central voting bureau, the headquarters, and that information is also provided. Now, it is our goal to have the results in everything by midnight. Of course, there are exceptions here and there, but as you indicated, any results that are given on the night of election, those are preliminary results because we have to do the verification meeting 5 days after election, which is actually scheduled for January 14th, whereby any eligible voter during that public session that would have any objection, they can file that objection there, and us as Central Voting Bureau, we will then weigh the arguments and then see if there are any merits to those arguments, and we will then decide on it. Usually those arguments would lead to the request of having a recount at one or more polling stations, or for instance, just part of the recount in terms of invalid votes or so.
No, perfect. Mr. Rogers, thank you for taking the time out to talk to us on the Brand New Day show. And good luck with the rest of the preparations. And I shall see you on St.Maarten, because then we can chat a little bit more during the process. And we're going to be there to also see how this process works, so we can share this information with our viewers down here, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao.
Thank you very much, Mates, and I do appreciate you giving us the opportunity to disseminate this information to our brothers and sisters, because that's how we see it within the kingdom, and giving them information on our democratic process. And I do look forward to seeing you upcoming Thursday on Election Day, and more than willing to share more information with you and your viewers and listeners.
Perfect. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. You too.
Pues, televidente, sa etapat nos konversasyon ku presidente di Consejo Supremo Electoral di St.Maarten, president of the Central Voting Bureau, Mr. Jason Rogers. Permitinos pausa komersyal aqui, anto ora nos been back, nos di mas informasyon pabo, de nos programa especial di The Brand New Day Show, St.Maarten Election 2020.